Hey y'all, welcome back to another video of Let's Struggle Together. Today we are going to be tackling OCs and how exactly to make them. Honestly, the result of this video, I do have an OC I will probably use in the future and I can definitely see myself using, but there's definitely going to be changes made after this video. But in the background right now, you are seeing me make a Milanote board, and I use mobile Milanote on the free term because I am poor, but it is definitely a good help when creating an OC, just to compact my ideas, like things I want to reference and stuff like that. It makes it easy, and this is in no way sponsored. But for this character, I wanted to make a anime character, and that's the only idea I really had when I was beginning this. And all sort of OC and everything like that, you need an idea. I will be putting up soon a couple videos I found while scrolling YouTube that I think can really help it better explain this process. So I recommend you go check out these wonderful YouTubers and watch their videos, as they did somewhat help me in this process. But to make this character, I started with just compiling like simple things. So I know I wanted this character to be a yandere. I wanted her to kind of fit into a housewife vibe, kind of like Ryoba Aishi from Yandere Similar. We don't talk about the death of that game. And I also wanted her to kind of be a mix of Ryoba Aishi and Shinobu from Demon Slayer. So you can see that I have like poisonous flowers. That reminds me of Shinobu for some reason. I have big hair. I wanted her hair to be a focus point. I don't think I got that in the final version, but yes, I did get the flowers, a lot of flowers in this design. Like I said, I'm gonna have to go through and fix some things, but I had like a rough color palette that I wanted done, and you can just see me organizing everything here. I figured out how to use the cards properly. There's so much stuff I don't know about Milanote, but this is just me making the reference board in the background and giving me some time to yap about different things. I just wanted this to look good, so you can see me struggling to put everything on the cards. It's a little bit difficult, but it is what it is. I'm just like reorganizing everything, just trying to get it fit. And even though I made this board, I feel like I referenced it a total of 0 times. I used the color palettes that I had picked out there, but nothing much actually. So like I said, I'm gonna go back and kind of refine the design afterwards. But this video is late, like it's Tuesday when this is being posted, and I usually was supposed to post on Friday, so I apologize so much. I also want to say thank you for 30 subscribers. Honestly, I think I freaked out a little bit when I opened my page and checked to see that I got 30 subscribers. I wanted to cry. In the comments that I have been left, I just, oh, you guys make me geek out. I'm nerding over here. Oh, that sounds weird. Oh no. No. It's late. I apologize. But you guys are geeking me out over here. I'ma shut up. I'm leaving this in because it's funny, but you guys got me being a nerd, I guess. I'm cheesing. There we go. That doesn't sound any better. Okay. Moving on. But I picked out a name from a randomizer. I just searched up yandere name randomizer, and I found this one, and I went for it. Whoa. Did I have a stroke? I'm leaving this one. Here you see me starting work on this character, and this does change. The pose and everything does change. From when I work on this, I go through a lot of phases, and this is just some of what I recorded like this with my screen recorder. Most of this you'll see is just Procreate video that I exported because I didn't feel like recording the process. I was having struggle. I was on the struggle bus. You can see me go over it with Blue, and I'm like, this pose it's not working. It's not looking how I wanted to do. So I ended up just scrapping it. I tried the line of action. I have been using this more in my sketches lately, but it didn't go right. So this is the reference I end up sticking with. Honestly, I wanted to have two versions, one being like a very sweet version of her just kind of standing there looking sweet and innocent, and another of her being her yandere self. So you get those two parallels. I also write her name in Japanese, I believe. Don't come for me if that's not accurate. I am still learning, and I had to get that off of Google, but I am still learning Japanese, so I do want to implement that. I did have an idea at the start to put the kanji in her eyes, kind of like Demon Slayer, but I just kind of settled with, for her like normal look, for her eyes to be closed, just because I just think that adds to like the sweet innocent vibes, making her look more how do you put it, making her look more peaceful and like a motherly figure. And I wanted her to read off as a motherly figure, somebody who you can look up to, go to when you're lost or you need help, just like an older adult that you can be at peace around. I wanted to give her flower motifs because flowers can often be deceitful. Some of the prettiest flowers can be the most poisonous, so I just wanted to add flowers to her design all over. Originally, I wanted to implement a apron in her design for her normal design, but I decided to go against that, and I went with one that I sketched out on paper. I will be putting in a couple of those sketches so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But this is just the time lapse from Procreate. You'll see this pop up a couple times. I guess I'll edit it out, I think. But anyway, you can just see me going through a couple hair options. I think honestly in all of this, the designing of her hair was the most difficult. I wanted it to be poofy. I wanted it to take up a lot of space. I wanted it to be a key focus point, and I think I got too hardcore set on it, so I did a couple times go back and try to figure out like, okay, what if it's short and poofy, or what if it's put up and poofy, because I don't want her to be a messy character in her normal design. I want her to be more like she'd be more neat. That's how I want her to read off, like neat, like kind of a perfectionist, but also a little bit messy, but not like overly messy. And I feel like all the hair designs I did are like too messy, so that's definitely an element I'm going to have to change. Throughout the process of making the board, I kind of got like more ideas of what I wanted her to be. I think I wrote down like a little snippet of what I want her story to be, and this can be the hardest part, is figuring out the story you want for the characters. At least for me, because I'm not very creative. Despite being an artist, I find that I lack a lot of ideas, and any idea that I do have is not really original. But honestly, you can see me start out with this design. I'm going through the design process. This isn't a bad design at all, but it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't reading what I wanted, and it looked too simple. So it wasn't giving what I wanted it to give. It wasn't looking how I wanted it to look. So you can see me start over. And that's something that's really important to do in your art, is having the strength to look at a piece and say, you know what, this isn't working, and I've tried as much as I possibly can. Let's have like a refresher. Let's go away for a day and maybe figure out like how to make this work. Maybe it's the pose. We need to figure out what's going on here. And that's what I did. I took the whole week, and I barely had anything sketched out, and I was just on the struggle bus, man. It was hard out here in the trenches, I guess. You can see me start with this, and I'm like, already at this point, I was so defeated. I wasn't feeling it. I was having so much trouble, especially with the legs. I don't want to talk about legs because they're difficult. That's going to be a video in the future. But then you see me go over with blue, and I just go over it multiple times. I'm like, why isn't this looking right? I think it's because for the pose I wanted, it needed to be more stiff. I needed more of a stiff pose because I wanted her to look peaceful, and usually if you look on Pinterest for the kind of pose I end up using, it's normally very stiff. I did add a little bit of flowy elements with her dress, but overall, I was just working with too fluid of poses to make the main focus point of this character sheet look right. You can see that I took in on the more yandere side of her. I used more of a fluid pose, so I think that's something I'm going to definitely implement, to where when she's like normal and acting like a sweet older woman, she's more stiff with her poses, but when she's in a yandere mode or a yandere state, she is more fluid and more line of action heavy, I guess. I'm saying too much. Oh my goodness. There I go again. Favorite word, I guess. But her storyline is she is a wife to her senpai, who cheats on her. He's known to be like a serial cheater around their town. Everybody in town pities her, and it's more of like an old-fashioned town mixed in with a more modern day. Somebody needs to ban the ums from my vocabulary, I guess. But you can see me, like, I wanted a flower crown. I wanted her to look peaceful. And if I were to design her husband, I'd give him more of a rough bitch boy look, honestly. And her story, I don't want it to follow the typical yandere plot. I want it to be like she is falling out of love with that senpai, her husband, because of his cheating. That I need to stop myself every time I say okay. But she is falling out of love with her husband because of all the cheating, and she is kind of coming to terms with the fact that she needs to find somebody else. Like, her relationship is dead, and it's not working, and it hasn't been for a while. She has done so much for this man, and he is not giving her anything back in the relationship, and she's kind of being pissed off by that. So what happens one day if she runs into a complete stranger, and she ends up getting that spark back that made her a yandere for her husband? She feels that for this stranger who takes pity on her, basically, and kind of I can't articulate words right now. It's late, but I gotta finish this so it can be posted. So he basically takes a little bit of pity on her because he just saw her husband cheating in the open. There we go. Words are coming out of my mouth. Thank you. But he takes pity on her because he knows the family. He knows her specifically, and he may or may not be a yandere as well, and pining for her. That's basically the story I got so far. And like I said, this is a work in progress. There's going to be a lot of phases for this, and it took so long. I hate character sheets. They take forever. Moment of silence. We need an counter this video. We need a counter for all the times I've said the motif I wanted to go for is flowers, and I definitely kept that. I put a flower on her face, and it's kind of for a reason, because I adore Hanahaki, that storyline. I eat that shit up. Oh my goodness, I love Hanahaki in a fictional sense, of course. And the Red String of Fate, as a kid and now, that shit is good. I love seeing when people implement it. So I wanted to take that and kind of sort of imply that maybe she has Hanahaki disease. Maybe, possibly. I haven't decided yet, but she has like flowers growing all over her. She has a flower crown. She has flower motifs. It just would be perfect. And if you don't know what Hanahaki is, I'll give you a brief explanation. It's a fictional disease based on one-sided love. If somebody is in love with somebody and they don't like them back, their lungs will start to fill up with flower petals, and until they suffocate. A couple remedies for this is a surgery that would get rid of any feelings of attraction to that person, for that person, so they could never fall in love again. Or if they confess and they get accepted by that person genuinely, it will go away. But if they are rejected, they will suffocate. So there's a little brief thing for that. I think the hardest part of creating this character was the name, and figuring out how she would act and what I would use her for, honestly. I think I'm going to make her one of my other yandere characters, mother or an auntie. So we'll see where she goes. I'll update in the future. But you can see me doing line art and coloring in. I gave her one of those like hair strands to make her hair interesting, and in her yandere state I gave her that apron I wanted to add in because I figured she'd be messy. So this is the final piece. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content and would like to see the next video, which will be about hands. I am absolutely dreading it. Okay, have a lovely day or night, anybody, to all watching. You are loved more than you know, and I am forever proud of you.